that the people who are not able to join will have the opportunity to watch it afterwards. So grab a seat, grab a cup of coffee. For those from EMEA, grab a gin tonic or a beer, depending from the region where you are. And we are happy to have you joining. I'm seeing a lot of attendees are joining right now. By the way, it's the highest amount of attendees that we had for the last, I would say, 4 months. So feel honored, Mali. A lot of people want to listen to you.
Great, wonderful. I'm really happy to see so many people on the call.
Yeah, I must say we had a couple of meetups in the last weeks, mostly with technology partners.
Mm-hmm.
So this one is the first, I would say, since a long time. We'll have to double check when, where we are really presenting IGEL related topics and obviously the hot stuff of IGEL UMS 12 and OS 12. So for those of you who wanted to see a tutorial how to build your own host tree, I have to say you have to join another session. It's not the right one. And just in case you have someone who is not able to join, yes, the session is recorded and hopefully I will be able to upload it to the YouTube channel in the next 12 hours and then have it on videos.igelcommunity.com, I guess, sometimes around next week. So I would say, yeah, 1 or 2 minutes. Let's wait maybe 1 minute more that people can join and then we can start. I already start the presentation mode of the PowerPoint introduction. So you should hopefully see the presentation mode. I already have told Mali, I have some weird behavior today with Zoom and the presentation mode. So if I'm just leaving, it's not because I'm bored by the topic, not at all. It's really because I have a bug somewhere in my Zoom. So yeah, just be aware that it could happen. Mali, are you seeing the presentation mode of PowerPoint?
Yeah.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah.
Lovely, thank you very much. So a warm welcome to the November 2022 meetup. The guest is today is Mohamed Ali Fink, so Mali in short term. The host of today is myself, Sebastien Perusat, and I'm happy to show you that we are launching something new. And it's not only a new version of a UMS, not only a new version of a firmware, it's a complete redesign of what we did in the last decade, you can say. So what you are seeing today is something which, for understood from Mali, is quite unique. So you will not see that content anywhere else. So I'm happy to have Mali on site. Just doing a short recap about what we have in the next month. So you might have noted that in 2022, we had a couple of months where we had no meetups, so we are coming back to pace now. In December, we have 3 meetups. The first one is a life hack delivered by a life hacker, so to say, on privilege escalation in the Azure cloud. It was postponed to a later date, but just in case the December 1st is now fixed, and it was delayed due to sickness. December 15th, we have Azure Community Meetup yearly recap. So for those of you who are in the Azure community since 2020, we always have a recap thanks to Matthias Haas, our CTO, about the year 2022 and the upcoming 2023. So obviously the upcoming year will have a small touch of OS 12 and UMS 12, not to say a big one. So if you want to get insight about what Mali is maybe not allowed to say today, Matthias will tell us the secret stuff on that date. And the last one for this year is an extremely important one to me, but I guess hopefully also to us who are a part of the Azure community, is the anniversary of our community. We turned 5. Unbelievable, but we are at now the 5th year, more or less, of our Azure community. So if you want to get great information, insights, stats, reports, but also funny stories about early adopters and having people like Christian Drilling, Frederick Bratzik joining, hopefully Jet will also join us, please register for the 20th of December. In case you missed it, we have a website which is called igelcommunity.com/events, where you can sign up for any events. And I'm able now to change anything there. So you will get updated as soon as we have a new event coming up. I can just give you a teaser. We have 2 of them. One of will be with Simon Townsend. It will be a kind of recording next week. It's not really a webinar where you can register. But in January, we do expect another one with Lino Reutner, who is taking care of the support team in EMEA. So if you have the feeling that you never understood how the Azure support is working, please join this call, because he will give us insights about how we are interacting with your ticket inside of the company, but he will also tell us a little bit more about what the priority support means, why sometimes the ticket may lay a little bit longer than expected. There are reasons for that, and it's a really huge one, so I'm looking forward to that. Just a short reminder for those of you who never attended Meetup until now. So we have the TTTs and TPs. So in pronounceable form, it's the Tech Tip Tuesday videos and the technology partners. We have a website which is called videos.igelcommunity.com, which wasn't in my hand until now. So since a couple of days, I'm able now to administrate that website, and I will push obviously new content to it. So be prepared. There is something new coming up. And on the TP side, you have something which is also quite invisible to you from the standard view of Slack. But if you're interested in, I don't know, end computing, if you're interested in thin print, we are not doing publicity in the Agile community, quite obviously, but we have created specific channels for that people, so they can do whatever they like in their channel, but also share new documentations, new NFR kits, and so on. So if you want to join them, just click plus, then burst channels, and then search for TP minus, and then you have a list of the technology partners available there. And then you can join and chat with the guys from the vendor. Recap of the links. So if you're not part of the Agile community, please join us, not because it's great, not because we are gentle, but because there's a lot of content shared there. And there are really brains of the end-user computing space exchanging information, but also answering questions, but also sharing content. And the rest are already mentioned. So we'll jump over to the rules and regulatories for today. If you have questions, obviously I will have an eye on the chat. But if you have questions, really do me a favor and put them in the Q&A section of the Zoom client. That will help us to answer them lively or in written form. And I can take over that part during Mari's presentation, so we can really focus on telling you the new story of IGEL OS 12 and UMS 12. And that's the point where I'm shutting up, stop the sharing, and turn it over to you, Mari.
Thank you very much, Sebastien. I wanted to say that I'm happy to answer the questions while the presentation. So if you want to interrupt me, please do, and I will try to get the answer from the Q&A sessions or questions. So yeah,
perfect.
Great. I would love to start with a small presentation, hopefully not too boring for you. So can you see my screen?
Yep, there.
Great. Yeah, as you can see, I've chosen to make a little story for you, not too much feature bashing, more the intention of what we saw in the market and why we decided to bring up a completely new generation of our product portfolio. And I would love to take you with me with a time travel journey and talk about what was in the past and what's today and what we will see in the future. So I will use Marty and the dog as our time travelers together with you. For all of those who don't know who I am, my name is Ali Fink. I'm leading the product management of IGEL since almost 2 years from now, and let's try to travel through the time. Great. So let's go back in the past. We are on a date in the beginning of the century, so it's February the 7th. It's a Friday, end of the week. And Marty has worked hard at that week, running the virtualization infrastructure of VMware based on ESX and giving his end users access to the Citrix environment utilizing the ECAP protocol. So who is Marty at that time? Marty is an EUC admin, mostly managing Fed clients, but starting to migrate into the virtual environments. And as I said, it was a really tough week for him because he already migrated the first 1,000 users from a fat client to a thin client architecture and giving them access. As you can see at the picture, Marty is working in his office, and for those of you, you can see the small telephone device on the desk. That was the time where you need a real appliance to call somebody. So that was the time in 2003. And Marty was not responsible at that time for the communication infrastructure. So it was a responsibility of another department. He was just responsible for managing endpoints to deliver workspaces. On the right side, you can see a picture of his data center. So meaning that the whole stuff, the complete hardware and software is running in his own data center on-prem with the benefit of having the full control of to decide which software is running on which hardware, and there is no loss of control at that time. But it's hard to maintain because he is the owner for the complete stuff and the stack. So, and let's move on to the time of today. So we're back in today. It's 2022. It's in November, and we start the episode 2. Episode 2 is running in a VUCA world, meaning Marty has the choice of running VDI on-prem or using cloud services like the DaaS environment, and also SaaS applications running from the cloud. And the complexity of doing that is because all of them is needed for his end users. So he needs to manage all the integration between different on-prem and cloud service at the same time. This brings a wide field of complexity, and it's really volatile because he needs to be aware of what is going on in the market, and not everything is clear enough, and it's really ambitious for him. So he is coming to a point when he needs to decide which path he wants to take. So if you still want to use the Citrix environment, or doing the AVD stuff with Microsoft, or moving with VMware Horizon environments. And the case that we are really in a VUCA world is been shown in the last couple of days to us, where a huge company called Twitter is acquired by somebody, where we really don't know what the future will bring for a company like Twitter. So it's a tough time for us, everybody, and we need to know where we want to invest and where we have the flexibility to move on to the future requirements, making sure that our investment is not on the wrong place, and staying flexible to migrate from one to another solution in case if we see any trouble at that point. So what does that mean for Marty? The good news is Marty heard about that 5 million people entered the IT workforce last year in the age of under 35, but at the same time we lose a workforce of 9 million people who are older than 35. Meaning there's a gap of 4 million people in the workforce, but the VUCA world tells us that it is hard stuff. It's a big workload what we as a new end user computing administrator has to manage. So let's have a look on what he's experiencing. Probably some of you might know where this screenshot is taken from. For all of you who don't know, it's a screenshot of of a Zoom application, showing that the end user are forced to update the Zoom client to be able to connect to a Zoom session. And as you might know, that this is more or less out of control of Marty, because Marty is somebody who's consuming that service from the cloud. Zoom is a cloud service, and he needs to integrate that into his solution, because it's now the date to 2022, where Marty is also responsible not just for the endpoints, but also for the unified communication stuff. And the challenge here is he needs to stay compatible with his complete environment. So it's not just having the force of updating the clients. He needs to make sure that the corresponding agent on his VDI infrastructure needs to be compatible with that update. But with that, he needs to make sure that the Windows version and the thin client operating system version needs to be updated also to stay compatible with the whole environment. There's a bunch of dependencies he needs to manage. And all of this is a manual workload for him, making sure that he knows when the next version will arise and when he needs to plan his update features. And this will make him a very long work load, where he needs to update, as I said, the backend part as well as the endpoints at the same time, and that's really challenging for him. Let us move forward. Let's fast forward to the future. We are assuming that it's a date in 2027. It's a sunny May. On Monday morning, it's 8:30, and he's starting to work his work week. And the ideal world at that time is that we as IGEL envision everything is being delivered from the cloud at that point, meaning not just the data and application he wants to access or the end user wants to access, but also things like your identity is being cloud delivered. What I mean with that is we're talking about being able to access all this stuff, data, applications, desktop, resources at all with your cloud identity, because it's well known, and it's like your personal identity card, where you can travel today around the globe, where everybody knows who you are by presenting your identity card. And exactly that situation has been at that time, where he wants to access data, he needs just to provide his cloud identity, and then will get access to this data and services. At that ideal world, Marty has his cloud identity to log on with single sign-on to the management environment, and he is able to use the complete management with his identity. There is no need to remember different credentials for different systems. So all is being integrated with that cloud identity provider. And that's not just true for him as an admin, but it's also true for all his endpoint users who is managed, meaning that they also can access their cloud environments by having their cloud identity and just single sign-on to the endpoint, and from there they can access all over the world what they need for their daily business. So now Martin can focus completely on important tasks, meaning that he's not being forced to manage updates. Updates are available by a complete cloud infrastructure, easy and flexible, so he can decide which application should be deployed to which endpoint. And if he configures the system like he is doing today, he also can in addition decide which application should be deployed automatically with any manual interaction for him. So he's doing his daily tasks with less effort he needs to spend. And now, in 2027, the situation is that the onboarding of a new device or a new user could be done by a self-service from the user itself. Marty does not need to pre-provision devices and send them out to the end user. So it is fully usable for the end user by a self-service, and the end user does not need to know very detailed technical information. It's been intuitive, so the end user can just onboard a device and onboard himself with information that he already has. What is also in 2022, there is the complete solution is available with IGEL, meaning that an operating system called IGEL is available, completely modularized and secure, meaning that things like the application deployment, which we discussed before, is completely available in the ecosystem of IGEL, meaning that we have an intuitive best in user experience management solution, the UMS. At that point, UMS as a service, meaning that he also does not need any infrastructure for the management of the endpoints. And there are a couple of cloud services maintained and run by IGEL itself to make his life easier, meaning all the stuff about the onboarding and the app deployment is being available as a service for him. And now Marty has a choice to select from different tech stacks and services to run the best solution for his end users. That means, as you can, if you can recall what I present you with the different ways, the paths he needs to decide in terms of the tech stack. Now he is able to just migrate from one to another by a click, because all is available as a service. And even that is not something he needs to make a decision of, because he's also able to use all the solutions at the same time, depending on the use cases he wants to implement. So he could just decide which application he wants to provide to the end user, and he don't care about which cloud service is providing them with which tech stack. So the protocols are completely transparent for him, and he just needs to decide from the market the solution, and doesn't care about what technology stack is behind that. Meaning, even a SaaS application, which is delivered just by a browser, could be used or deployed for the end users, or a native app in terms of a progressive web app, or remote apps and desktops by having a seamless integration in that solution. And that's the time in 2027. And now, where Marty can choose where he wants to work and where he sits, he takes the decision to live in a finca in Spain and decided to work from there. So there's
the point where I have to interrupt you, because the question is not coming from the chat, but from me. Is that your house?
Almost. I need to work a little bit more to get that house in Spain. Yeah.
That's it. It wasn't something productive I wanted to say, so I'm leaving.
Thank you. Is there any questions so far?
There's one question indeed, but we can put that at the end.
Okay, great. So as I said, Marty is not forced to go to the office to pre-provision devices anymore. All he needs to do is buy a device, which is preloaded with IGEL, and send it out to the end user directly from the warehouse where he bought that device. No need for him to stay somewhere dedicated and doing manual stuff at the office. So all of this, the good news is all of this is not the future discussion what we have. So like 2027, so more or less, the most of that will be available next year with the introduction of the new version of IGEL product portfolio. All of them will be provided through cloud services from IGEL in combination of our operating system IGEL plus the UMS management. And the dark yellow parts of that cloud services already are available today. So when I'm talking to the support portal, that's of course a cloud service running at the IGEL side, but also our IGEL license portal is available right now in the IGEL cloud. And the new service which will come next year are the onboarding service, and that's the service where the onboarding is being done with a self-service from the end user perspective. The app portal, which is the IGEL cloud services, delivering the current version of applications for IGEL, like a Citrix Workspace app or a VMware Horizon client, all will be available in the app portal. And as I said, if you configure it properly, you could choose to make an automatic update on all your endpoints or decide dedicated versions to be deployed at dedicated times to the endpoints. And the Insight service will be the cloud service, which will give you insight about the product usage in terms of proactive recommendations, how you get the best of our product portfolio. Things like configuration recommendations depending on your environment you're using, but also an information base where you've been informed about applications or software you deployed to IGEL, which is out of maintenance, for instance. So from a security perspective, as well as from a user perspective, you will get more insights about the usage of our products. And underneath there is a box called the Service Hub. That's the new platform for all our services, including the identity and access management to all these new services. Meaning that the access to these services will be provided by a consolidated identity platform, where you even can bring your own identity into that Service Hub. So what you are using today could be your login informations to log into the Service Hub. And also the Service Hub is being the platform where you can define the access, meaning that if you are a group of administrators, you can the super admin can decide which other administrators get access to the different cloud services by assigning them roles to that access. The only thing which will not be introduced next year, but later on, is the UMS portal, the UMS as a service stuff, which I talked to when I provided the use case of Marty. That is something, and that's the reason why it's black here on the architecture side. That's not coming next year, but later on. Okay, with that, things like the update enforcement dialogue will belong to the past, and you will go directly to your Zoom meeting without the need of without the end user needs of updating a client, because it will stay current by configured automatic update stream, meaning that the Zoom application in that case, in that use case, is being updated in a background update. So the user will not be interrupted with his daily work, and the update is being processed in the background, and it will be available after reboot for the user. So give me a promise, please. Don't wait too long for the right decision, to wait too long to move forward with the new product portfolio. Otherwise, you would probably need the time machine to correct your decisions. So do me a favor and make it not too long. Don't wait too long to go with that path. For all of you who want to get more information and more are welcome to our Disrupt event next year. It will be located in Munich. For all of you living in the North America location, there will be also a Disrupt. But I do not have the exact date and location currently. What I know is it will be placed in Munich for the European field location. So with that, I will stop just my sharing for a second and move on with the demo part. But I think we could come back to the questions if you want before we start the demo.
If you like, there are at least a few in the Q&A part. Some are more strategic, more are feature based. Okay. So I would say, if you have the time, look at them, and if you are having some answers, we can definitely answer them lively.
Okay. Are there plans for a public firmware repo so external devices can pull in new versions? The short answer is yes. That's exactly what shown in the architecture slide. The app port will be the software repo, and I'm really calling out that it's a software repo, not a firmware repo, because of the modularization of the operating system. We will not provide any firmware, more operating system separated from the application. So you can decide which combination of applications you want to deploy to your endpoints, and you can choose that from a device-based approach, meaning that you could have a device group with in another application combination as for another device group. The second question, early in the meeting, it was discussed how IGEL is positioning for cloud-based solutions. While cloud is part of, jumping around, while cloud is part of the companies may need to run certain application, companies are also looking to cut costs, and cloud services are becoming more expensive than previous. How IGEL positioning the OS to assist with companies that are avoiding SaaS for escalating cost reasons? I'm concerned that IGEL may be losing focus on this fact. Although I'm talking today very deep about cloud services, I need to mention that we will support VDI on-prem or even other on-prem solutions without the need to run desktop environments in a DaaS or SaaS cloud service, meaning that the next generation of IGEL, so IGEL 12, will also be provide the same functionality and features in terms of on-prem solutions. We will not remove any of the on-prem solutions from IGEL 12, but I really want to mention that we enabled now the transition to the cloud. But it's your decision. You can stay with your own prem world using our new products, but you're being enabled to use services from the cloud at the same time, and that's the real magic within that solution, that you get new functionalities to consume cloud services. At the same time, you're able to use your on-prem world. And I have that discussion also already with some of our customers, and when I'm doing the presentation, they more like exactly what is mentioned in the chat. So they're saying, well, we are not planning to move on the cloud to the cloud services. We will stay on-prem. Why I need OS 12 for that solution? The answer is most of you are consuming cloud services, even that they don't realize at all. The cloud service is not just the DaaS world where you get the whole desktop from a cloud service, but it's also the integration of cloud service like your unified communication solution. And I don't know who is using an on-prem unified communication solution today. So everybody uses Teams or Zoom or Cisco WebEx, or every of these unified communication solutions are being provided through a cloud service. And the challenge today is to bring both worlds together. We are running in a hybrid world where we have something running in on-prem and the others coming from the cloud, and how we can easily integrate these both solutions into our complete ecosystem. Will the IGEL UMS themselves be a free like it's now, or will customers need a subscription license to deploy? Yeah, she needed a second to understand where you're coming from, Richard. Yeah, we have decided to make our subscription based on our complete solution, meaning that we do not say that you need a subscription for the operating system, or you need a subscription for the management part. It's a combination of what we are using. Meaning, you could use an IGEL as without a subscription, but this one is then not manageable via the UMS. You need just a subscription for the complete value what we are providing to you. The combination of the operating system plus the manageability via our UMS. And that's the subscription model going forward. And I think that should answer your question, I hope.
Yeah, then I would say, if you wouldn't mind, let's maybe a short break on the Q&A and go back to your demo. I know that we have 5 more questions in the queue. So if that's okay for you, that we switch to the demo.
Of course.
Perfect.
Let's move on.
Because I know that I prepared something amazing, so I
I hope it is. I mean, for me it is. I hope it will feel the same.
It will. I'm sure about it.
Okay, let's share IGEL ads, and here we are. What we see here is
big play button.
A big play button. Great. Thank you very much, Sebastien. And I will push the play button. Yeah. Okay, let's start the machine. You'll see.
Yeah, the sharing just stopped.
Yeah, I need to reshare again. So what we see
there.
Yeah. What we see is a IGEL 12 device starting the very first time. Assume that in our use case described before in the presentation, Marty bought a new IGEL 12 device from different, you can choose from different hardware vendors like HP, Lenovo, LG, and many others, where he's bought a device preloaded with OS 12 in the factory and sent it out to his end user. So now the end user will do the unboxing, starting the machine, and we'll see this lovely setup assistant for where he needs to answer 3 simple questions to get the device on board. The first question is in which language do you want to talk to me? So I prefer English, but I'm using a German keyboard, therefore I will switch to German. So here we are. And the second question is, EULA, okay. You need to accept the EULA to move forward. And the second question is, where are you located? The reason why we are asking for where are you located is we are deriving the time zone from the location you are sitting. And this can be automated by checking the box. And IGEL now can geolocate your device and derive the time zone from their side, sitting in the time zone Berlin, and it's 5:40 p.m. I think that's all correct, and we can move forward. The third question here is who you are, and as I said, now I can use my cloud identity to authenticate myself against my identity provider, and this will give IGEL the information that I am really Mali. So I'm using a test user, which is an Azure AD identity. So hopefully I will type the correct password, otherwise I need to retype.
During you typing this, just giving you a short feedback, because I know how the actual technical preview is looking like and how the early access program looked like. The new design is really good. I really like it. It's definitely cleaner than before. The blue color with the background, which is a little bit three-dimensional, makes it, in my opinion, a way more professional than it was before. So just a big compliment from my side on that.
Thank you very much, Sebastien. Yeah, we are really working hard on giving a more convenient user experience by having this new look and feel. And later on, we will see the current state of the app portal, which will get also facelifting. So we will have some new design elements in the app portal, which is not available today. So I will show you the app portal at the current stage. What we saw here is with a successful login to my identity provider, the IGEL is contacting the onboarding service to get the information where my UMS resists. So I will be forwarded based on my user credentials to my company where my UMS is running, and I will get automatically under the management. And with being managed by my UMS, so marking our use case as our UC admin, all profiles, so the configurations for my device based on my user is being deployed to my IGEL device. And together with the profiles, I will also see the attachment of applications to the device. So what we saw here is not just the rollout of the profiles to the endpoint, but also the possibility to deploy dedicated applications based on the user who is sitting in front of the device. And in my use case, and I will show it later on in the UMS, what I exactly did, but in my use case, Marty decided to assign the AVD client together with the AVD profile to me. So I'm now doing a single sign-on login. And what we see is a single sign login currently to IGEL, meaning now I'm using my credential to log me in to IGEL. And as you can see, IGEL is using Azure AD as the identity profile of choice, and there is multi-factor authentication enabled, meaning I need to approve the request on my phone. And after that, I will jump directly into the AVD session configured for myself. So all this in a couple of minutes, from getting a device, send it out to me, to onboard my device, to go into my Windows session where I can start my daily work, and all based on the fact that I know my company credentials. Nothing more to know about what I need to onboard the device, and that's what I meant with the fact that even a non-technical user can onboard a device with a self-service, and there is no need for a help desk to be called and ask for help just to onboard the device and coming on into the AVD session where I start my working. So what we see here is the IGEL 12 desktop. As I said, there are 2 applications configured for myself. It's a terminal application which I'm using for debugging scenarios. You all know how a terminal is looking like, and the AVD session. There is nothing more configured besides single sign-on and assigning the AVD session. So I will change to my share to the UMS to show what we've configured on that side. Going to the UMS. So you see this UMS, the web console of the UMS. Most of you will know that we also have a Java console to manage devices. Going forward, the strategy is to make all features available in the web app, and that's especially true for new features what we are implementing. It will be available in the web app, and the console will not get additional features. We will move forward with the web app. Of course, with the cloud strategy where web apps are being provided through cloud services. So what I've done here is I created just a device directory. Together with that device directory, I set a default directory rule which does auto assignment of each new device into that device group. And the device we've looked into was this one, and as you can see on the assigned object, it is the local terminal, the single sign-on configuration plus the AVD session, and that's completely new in terms of app deployment, the possibility to assign applications to that device. And how I get to that situation where I can assign applications to a device. So let's look into the section called the apps. Here are all apps which I manage in terms of decide which version to be deployed to which app endpoint. And how I get these applications, where I get these applications from, it is from the app portal. So when I click to the app portal, okay, it was open already, but that doesn't matter. You will see the app portal, which is running in the IGEL cloud. From here, you have a bunch of applications which you can import, and I don't want to say download because I'm not really downloading the complete application. I'm just importing the metadata of an application, so I'm able to manage this application in my UMS. IGEL OS, the base system itself, is also treated as an application here, meaning I can download or update to the latest version or configure to stay with a special version. And let's click on Azure Virtual Desktop. As you can see here, there are different versions I can choose from, but the import button is grayed out because I have that version already in my so-called application section. But the other one is not important. I can just click on import, and it will import the metadata into my UMS. And this is done by a tab-to-tab in-process communication. So the app portal informs the UMS about that somebody wants to download or import the application in my app portal. So to my UMS. And now I have the newest version of the application. In that case, it was the Azure Virtual Desktop. If I'm doing that, not the first one, so if I have already an application and I just want to get the latest version, I don't need to change the app portal. That's mostly being used for the initial import or to explore if there are any other applications I need to import or deploy to my endpoint. For the use case, I'm already imported an application. I just want to make sure that I'm on the latest one. It's currently being tracked by the UMS itself, looking for new versions. and I can do things like setting the default version to another version, meaning that the version of that application is being set for, in general, for the latest one. And I do have the options for the automatic check, which is configured that UMS will do that. And here on the other side, you could also set the auto update version of an application. And that's for the use case if like a Zoom application, if you want to deploy the latest Zoom media plugin to IGEL, and we don't want to be bothered by taking the task to look if there is a new version and to deploy it, and then decided to deploy it, you could choose the functionality auto update, and with that, UMS will check for available application updates and deploy it automatically if you wish. And that's a decision you can make for individual application. It's not a global configuration, but you could choose for each application if it should be updated automatically or not. So let's do a small exercise. We choose the device from the demo, and I want to assign objects from already pre-configured profiles. And what I want to do is sending an Outlook profile and a mirror profile to that device. So it will ask me if the changes should be applied directly or on the next boot. I choose the direct one, and now we'll switch back to the device. Was that the right device? So I expect to see an information, meaning that there is a configuration change. Let me check the correct device. Okay, great. I don't know why it's not directly being applied, but let's just make a reboot. Should be.
It wouldn't be a live demo without one simple thing not working. So
yeah,
I'm feeling fine, and I'm just smiling.
Yeah, me too. So let's have a look if the application has been applied towards.
I don't know who of you guys in Augsburg created the boot splash, but it really looks neat.
Yeah, I like that too. It's one of my favorites for the changes. So it's really looking good. It makes me happy if every time I see that splash.
Yeah, same here.
Great. I think I made something else wrong. I think I used the wrong UMS. Let me just cross-check with the. I do have two UMS instances, and I think I onboarded the device to the other one.
Take your time. Take your time.
Yeah, let me just check for a second. It was the wrong UMS.
I can maybe just jump in and answer some questions lively during your checking. Brandon Brewer, when released with views be in UMS web? So I guess you're asking when will be the view feature integrated in the UMS? That depends from a lot of factors, like the administrative task, like tasks in general. So that's on the roadmap. And Mali, please correct me if I'm saying something absolutely wrong, but it's definitely one of the feature set that will be delivered on GA, right?
I'm sorry, I'm trying to.
No, good. We're speaking about views, jobs for the UMS 12.
Views and jobs. I'm not pretty sure if views or jobs are really directly available with the GA. Could be something coming soon, but I can't confirm at the moment that it's been available with the GA.
Very good. Very good. Just in case, Mali, we have 5 minutes left, so we can take a little bit more if you need it. Just in case.
I will give it just one try, and then working. Need to look. The thing what I wanted to present was just the single sign-on functionality, but I can also show that within. Within the configuration possibilities of the IGEL itself. So let's log in again, and okay, we will probably directly be routed into the LED session, but that's not a problem for us. I can just cancel the auto start of the LED session. Okay, so need to approve the request. So yeah. Everything I did within the UMS is also available in the setup dialog of the IGEL itself. And the cool stuff of that is we are using the configuration possibilities of an app as a metadata data of the application itself, meaning that applications are which are deployed to the IGEL will hook into the setup dialog and will be presented as a configuration possibility at that stage. Oh, okay. Before I can showcase the single sign-on with the browser, I need to install a browser. The fact that I need to log in to get access to the app portal is just because of the fact that the app portal is not publicly available. That will be not the case when we go GA with the app portal. So you will see, you can see the same information as we saw in the UMS, and from here I'm also able to install an application. So accept the URL, which is not really shown correctly at that stage, and then everything which I can what I can do in UMS is also possible, and the administrator can decide if an end user can install for the application. So it is just a thing of configuration if you want to give access to the app portal for the end user. So we are running a little bit out of time. I'm sorry that the demo took more time than expected. If you want,
no reason to be sorry.
You can go over to the question if you want.
Yeah, I mean, as you wish. We have, if we take 5 or 10 minutes more, it's definitely okay. So it depends from the time that you have, Mali. If you have the 10 or 5 minutes more in your time frame.
Yeah, I do.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. Then I would maybe take over the question from Leon. I know, difficult question, but in which year or timeline do you think the web UMS will replace the Java UMS console with all the settings in the Java console and, very important, dark mode?
I know, Leon, that you are looking for the dark mode. Yeah. But to answer the first question, it's just a feeling, and I want to be transparent. It's not a commitment, because there's a couple of things to be considered before we can remove the Java console, but it will take a year after we are going to GA. That's my gut feeling when we are ready to, when we have feature parity between the web UMS and the Java console.
Lovely, thank you. One point which is extremely interesting. I will take over the question from Richard. Assume that the security gateway, so I'm assuming in that case he is speaking about the IGEL Cloud Gateway, will be integrated, and assuming from the IGEL Cloud Services you can do firmware updates, correct? That's a question to the unified protocol.
Yeah, I got that question. The fact that the application repository, the software repository, is being hosted in the cloud, there is no need for running through a cloud gateway to get access to the latest version and deploy the application. So, as I mentioned, the fact that we're just importing the metadata of the application in the UMS is because the binaries itself are being pulled from IGEL directly from the app portal, meaning that we don't need cloud gateway to get the latest version of the application.
That's a question which is coming from the actual situation where if you want to put out a firmware update through the IGEL Cloud Gateway in the UMS 6 and IGEL OS 11, you have to create your own web or FTP service and put the firmware down there because the protocol itself is not able to deliver bigger data. And that's the reason why. So we answer it. It's a part of the redesign of the protocol, so this step is not needed anymore.
Yeah, exactly. I would love just to switch back to demo to showcase the single sign-on functionality, also in terms of SaaS application running in the local browser. What I've done is just created 2 Chromium sessions. First one is going to the Miro application. I don't know if you are familiar with Miro. Miro is a collaboration tool which we are using, and I can choose from the single sign-on functionality. So did I choose the right application? I just don't need to provide, and that's based on the fact that Miro is looking for my username. But as you could see, there was no prompting for a password, and I can do the same with Outlook by clicking on Outlook and getting access directly to my mail without being prompted again for my credentials, because I'm logged into the IGEL operating system with my cloud ID. So these are being used at that time. Good. I will stop my share to come back to the open questions.
Sure. I just, by mistake, wanted to write something and I just put the answer live. So there is a question from Mike. Do I understand correctly? You are decoupling the apps from the IGEL OS? So that's the first answer, yes. If so, if you want to update an app today, we need to update IGEL OS firmware that has new version of our app, IGEL OS 12, will separate IGEL OS from the apps. Correct. Where the application install updates file located? So that's a question that is at the moment in the app hub, but in the future, Mali, correct me if I'm saying something wrong, there will be also the ability to do that on-prem, right?
Yeah, the app portal is a service which IGEL will provide in the IGEL cloud, but there will be also an installer for the app portal, so you can instantiate your app portal in your own environment in case if you have use cases where, for instance, the endpoints are not able to or not allowed to connect to the cloud, or you have, for instance, you have your private apps which you don't want to become public in the IGEL app portal. You also can run a private environment with your private app portal.
Okay, I would. Yeah, I would take another one. So I will just put that one on the list. So from Luke, will device onboarding also be possible on-prem with on-prem AD credentials? For the good old Kerberos path through to a session, what we have at the moment,
yeah, but Kerberos authentication with a local Active Directory will be possible in any case. Will device onboarding also? Device onboarding, I think there are 2 questions. One was, will the Kerberos supported for local AD? And
yes,
the second question was if we are supporting a device onboarding without the onboarding service. And the answer is yes, you can use same functionalities like DNS and DHCP options to onboard a device and bring it to under your management with a local environment. The disadvantage of doing that is just to give you that information. You're setting up a trust to the device from the very first beginning if you're using the onboarding service, because the onboarding service knows that the person sitting in front of the device is really that person and is allowed to onboard the device. So you have more granularity in terms of control, but of course you could use the same onboarding mechanism already available in OS 11.
Perfect. Then one additional question from Richard. Will you be able to integrate seamless single sign-on?
Not sure what you mean with seamless, because in my opinion it was really seamless. I need just to log in to the operating system, and then there is no need for further authentication. Or what does seamless in that context mean? Do you know?
Okay, then I would say we'll park it. Richard, if you have the time, just put the let's say corrected question. Then we're taking over that one from Dan. What identity providers will be supported? Solutions like Azure ID for identity with Duo for MFA. I came across often. Will this configuration be supported?
Azure ID will be supported because that's the showcase. That was a showcase. In addition to that, we will also test against Okta and Ping identity. So these three will be the common one which our customers are using, and therefore we promised to make sure that this combination is working. But the implementation of the identity provider login or cloud identity is based on a standard called the OAuth 2.0 or OpenID Connect, and therefore all identity provider using the same implementation and providing that interfaces should work. But as I said, we are testing against the three most popular one. Duo, I don't know if we need any additional implementation for Duo, because this multi-factor authentication, which I showcased, is just a configuration on the identity provider side, and you need to register your, in my case, my smartphone to enable multi-factor authentication. There is no need for additional implementation from our side. So I would say yes, but we didn't check Duo at that time.
Okay, perfect. Then, guys, I would say we'll cover the last two questions, but then I would say if you have further questions, just feel free to contact me, and I would be happy to discuss that then with Mali afterwards. So I'm taking over the question from Asher. Do you have plans to allow for infrastructure as code, in example, using a Git repo to define settings, groups, profiles to allow for versioning, 4ISE approval, etc.?
The short answer will be no, but what I can imagine is using the API of the UMS to synchronize it with a configuration repository like Git. So you could push the configuration into the system, but beside there is currently no plan, but it's a really good idea, Asher. I like that. Thank you.
Perfect. Then the last one from Richard, that's a corrected, adapted question. Basically, path authentication, meaning login and then an AVD or Windows 365 desktop launches, not looking for a user to log in twice. It goes with the Active Directory Kerberos authentication question.
I thought I showcased that exactly. So the idea is to bring just one time login dialog, and this is after the boot of the device, and of course you need to log in every reboot for security reasons. But after the first login, there is no need for further login information. Probably it doesn't show up that well because you don't see what I'm doing exactly, but I just typed in once, and then everything other than this was done by IGEL itself. So that I didn't type in my credentials again to launch the AVD or Windows 365 session.
Okay, perfect. Then
Great.
we are done.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mali, for the time and the effort that you guys in Augsburg put it together, in Karlsruhe, sorry, put it together for developing this extremely great product. And not to say that for the people who were part of the early access program, and I know Dan, as an example, mentioned it, we did a lot of improvements. So the feeling that you might have during that situation, during that phase, is not what you are getting at the moment, and obviously will not match in any way what you will get at the start of the GA. I would just maybe close with one last point, Mali. Is there a way, I mean, I know the answer, but I want to ask the question for the audience. Is there a way to test the IGEL OS 12 and UMS 12 at the moment?
Is there, pardon, what was that? Is there a way to
test the IGEL OS 12 and UMS 12?
Okay, there is a possibility you send an email out to eap@igel.com, which means Early Access Program, and after an approval, you will get access to the binaries to download UMS and IGEL.
Okay, perfect.
Thank you very much.
Then I would say we are done. Thank you, guys. Thank you for the audience, and I wish you a great evening for the EMEA people and a great day for the North American people, and for the Asian people. I'm not sure if you are in the future, so let's see what the future will bring. Thank you very much, guys. I wish you a great day.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Nice day. Bye.